time to come out, first of all. This is crunch time for most of us out here, and the weather is terrible outside. So let's get cracking. I am Herun. I'm running for Communications Director this year. And like some others tonight, I am running unopposed, which is simultaneously relieving and slightly frightening. Okay, so qualifications. I've been working with Sarah for this past semester and then most of last semester as well. And over this time, what I've actually planned to do over the next year has already been implemented to some degree, with most of my help coming from Herun and Scalco. Namely, the generation of a new website, a new internal interface for most of NCSE just to make their lives easier. This is like email, Google Drive, such that they have like hardware, file storage space, and then just stuff like that. Just make it a little easier for people who plan awesome events for us. Other than that, I don't really have much to say since I do want to keep this short. So, thanks for your time. Vote yes.
You have my vote.
Okay, we have one.
How good are you?
I noticed sometimes that the like our website isn't really up to date. How do you plan to keep students up to date on those subjects? And if you actually go to portal and on the side it tells you that you're part of new college, but then it's not really updated in any sense. So what does, for me as a new college student myself, what does that like little portal tabby mean, and what can you do to like?
Right. So, in case you weren't aware, you guys get a newsletter every month. That's actually facilitated through the portal thing that you're talking about. So, in terms of that, I do intend on getting monthly like event proposals from NCSE on a regular basis, and I am going to try and get them out to you as fast as I can. Which means before the month starts, you will have a newsletter in your inbox, properly formatted and possibly nicer looking, every month. Detailing the events that happen throughout the month. The problem with this right now is the fact that event proposals aren't finalized the month before, and they generally tend to be finalized during the month itself. So that's where the portal thing comes in handy, because I'll be posting on there as the events that don't get sent out in the newsletter. Good.
Alright, we have a question from Adrian.
So the newsletter, as great as it is, not a lot of people read it.
Yes.
So do you have any ideas on how to make it more available for
Right now, it's getting sent out through a listserv, which includes all of NCSE members, or not NCSE members, so all the new college members, right? I have encountered that problem. I've been trying to think of how to fix it. One way to do it is to make it look better than it is. Secondly, if you've noticed, the subject line of every single newsletter starts without SL_NCSE, and that just looks like spam, and most people don't generally read it. So let's try and make that a little bit more appealing first. Secondly, I do try to intend, I can't talk right now, I'm sorry. I do intend on trying to promote this during Proc Week itself. So, and incoming first years, they don't really know much about this entire history and legacy of the newsletter being terrible looking, right? I'm sorry, it's just, so if you just look at that alone, then you have an entirely new base of first years to operate on. In the end, it's just making it look better, because there's not a lot you can do in an email simply by the from the start.
Alright, we have time for one last question, and unfortunately I start the clock.
The e-communication role not only expands between the website and our emails and our newsletters. A big part of it is social media. I just want to know what your stance on social media is. How do you manage that? Because there's so much free information floating around. How do you manage that? What kind of systems are you implementing?
Right. So you can probably break down social media into a couple of categories: Twitter, Facebook. MySpace went completely out of fashion a couple of years ago. But we do have a Twitter account. A number of people here follow it. I do intend on posting information on that as to in a relative time scale. So 1 week, 1 day, and then hours beforehand each event. So people do get an update on events as they come along. Secondly, Facebook. That kind of spun out of control last year with like commuter forums popping up and then election forums popping up. So I don't really have a lot of control over that. I do intend on trying to create, and then Facebook pages are something event coordinators make themselves, right? So I don't have a lot of control over that. What I do intend on trying to do is create, I heard this quote once. This is slightly off topic. So, you know, there are 14 types of rules, right? And then one guy comes along and says, I'm going to create a new rule that encompasses all these kinds of rules. The end result, there are now 15 kinds of rules, right? So I'm not going to try and add anything onto this. I'm just going to try and manage what's already existing. That way it's a lot more efficient and I don't have to go around creating new things for other people. And that just gets confusing.
It's too good. Too good.